Wait. I just need a bowl for that segment.
We are already live.
Hey!
Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome to Vancity Beats, Eats, and more! You forgot the eats part, dude. That's what we're doing
This
today.
is what it's all about, right?
We are live. What's going on? My name is Jamal, and welcome to episode 29 of season 2, Vancity Beats, Eats, and More. Today, I'm really excited because we have a very special human joining us. We have Roberto Issa. How are you?
Hello.
How are you?
Doing pretty well. Not bad.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm really
Yes.
excited to cook something special for you guys.
Yeah, it's a really special occasion because we are going to be cooking a delicious plant-based meal that Roberto has conceived for us. And we're going to take you through that entire process, and we're going to get to know Roberto along the way. Can you tell the people what we are going to be preparing for foods?
So it's spring, so we're gonna keep this fresh and light. I'm preparing a oyster mushroom shawarma.
So these, you pulled them apart
pulled them
as
apart.
part of the preparation?
Yeah, just to give them this like shreddy, meaty texture, which we'll be pan frying with 5 different spices, which is paprika, we got some cumin, coriander, cloves, and some turmeric, which we'll be seasoning with some oil and then just massaging them, getting them in there. And then we'll get on to the tabbouleh, which is parsley, quinoa. We usually use bulgur wheat, but we're gonna be adding quinoa as a gluten-free replacement. Some spring onions, tomatoes, and mint, just to give it that freshness, and to season it with salt, lemon, and oil.
Yeah.
Olive oil.
Yeah, this today's cooking segment is amazing because there's a couple things that you're doing. So, I mean, Roberto's a plant-based chef who's been plant-based for over 10 years, but in today's cooking segment, you really wanted to show like different variations of meat. Like the tabbouleh is a salad that doesn't have meat, but the mushroom dish is traditionally a meat dish that you wanted to show like a substitute for that.
Just to give that option.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. And then even the other substitute of putting the quinoa as a gluten-free option. I like those different alternatives a lot. So,
yeah, I think we should just be open to trying new things and just trying to create as many options and substitutes as possible so that everyone can enjoy this meal and not just people that are free of this cage that we're put.
Yeah, I mean, and with like plant-based foods too, that's the really nice thing about it is that everyone can enjoy it. There isn't really any limitations for who can enjoy it.
Exactly.
It's just how people perceive how they feel after, or like if they feel they need more or something, you know? So so I do want to mention that we are here in Vancity, known as Vancouver, and it is the stolen and unceded lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, the Coast Salish people, and we're grateful to be here to be cooking together. So we did a little bit of the preparation already. You know, we washed the ingredients. Like you said, you pulled apart the oyster mushrooms. We got the lemon juice, the quinoa you cooked. We've got some onions pickling over there. So what did you just add into the bowl with the spices?
I just added some olive oil just to give it the spices to work in together and infuse.
What are some traits of like a good healthy olive oil? Like that color right there is beautiful.
This is really good olive oil. It's also the smell. You don't want it too acidic. It has to have like a neutral oil taste. And that gives that. And olive oil is actually one of the Lebanese staples, and it's in majority of our foods that we use. And that's like close to the Mediterranean, and that's what they all use as well collectively, right?
Yes. It's an integral ingredient.
Yeah. So we're gonna add the batter into it, seasoning.
Yo, I have the perfect tool for this.
Yes, please. A spatula would be
Yes,
awesome.
the mini spatula. One of my favorite tools. So can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and where you grew up and how you ended up in Vancouver?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Dubai. I lived there for 20 years. Just it was interesting seeing Dubai going from nothing, just a barren desert land, into this metropolis of skyscrapers, and growing up to see that environment.
That all happened like while you were growing up there?
Exactly.
Wow.
It was just one whole stretch of a highway and a few buildings, very old built, and just sand everywhere you would go.
Yeah.
And I grew up with my mom initially, and I went to a Lebanese American school, which was segregated. It was an all-boys school.
Okay.
Which that was very interesting to grow up around. A lot of testosterone.
Yeah.
It was quite barbaric, I must say. And yeah, we jumped from houses to houses, and just growing up in Dubai, it was just a clump of different cultures in one city, which was interesting because for me, even if I lived there for 20 years, it never really felt like home. And towards the end of my stay, my parents actually decided to go to Canada, and I did the decision of going to Lebanon to get closer to my roots and where I'm originally from. And that has been a very interesting journey because it popped my bubble. Dubai is a bubble, and I was in it for
What's
a
the
very
bubble?
long time.
Tell us about what is the bubble you're
So
describing?
the safe enclosement, like there isn't much chaos. It's just everyone's doing their thing and living in their homes and just feeling safe, right? And you go to Lebanon, and that experience is like people honking cars all the time and swearing at each other, and just power cuts, lack of water, just very grounding, real situations.
Yeah.
And just being exposed to that has opened a whole side of it. I would go to Lebanon every summer to meet up with my family, but I was still in my bubble. 3 months every year is just not enough to get a full hands-on experience to what a country can be like.
And especially like actually living there and as an adult too, like where you actually have to establish the life for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you go visit, you usually, I mean, my experience visiting Lebanon as well would, because I have family there too, so it would just be staying with the family and you're pretty taken care of out there.
Definitely.
You know, if your family's in a good place. So yeah, so how is that actually experiencing the life and living and setting up that life for yourself on your own independently?
It was interesting. I first stayed with my aunt for the first 2 months just to get myself settled in. And I had to find a job and just start my life on my own, which was really interesting because my last year in Dubai, I did stay alone, but I didn't have that opportunity to really get thrown into it. And I was literally just thrown into it, having to deal with everything and figuring things out and what it's like to be in a close country, but still foreign to me. Yeah, I worked at a few coffee shops, and I moved towards working in a gluten-free bakery, which kickstarted that substitute lifestyle
Yeah.
and seeing alternatives,
Yeah.
which added a lot to my experience as a cook. And it was interesting because I only discovered my passion last year, and I've always been surrounded by food and these substitutes, but it's been a journey.
Definitely. And okay, so we're gonna switch back and forth between learning about you and your life and your journey and talking about what we're preparing. So you had massaged the oyster mushrooms with the olive oil and spices. Now you're letting them sit for a bit before frying them. Now we have this beautiful fragrant Italian parsley that you're chopping up.
Yes, we're finally chopping them up. They have to be very fine or they won't absorb the marinade, which is the lemon and the oil. It has to be like really, really fine so that it just absorbs all the juices.
Yes. That's part of the texture of tabbouleh too.
Yes.
It's really such an important part of it. And also you want to make sure when you're making tabbouleh that you get the Italian flat leaf parsley versus like the curly parsley, because the texture is completely different. It's a bit more like rugged if you use the curly parsley.
And make sure those leaves are small, because I worked at a Lebanese restaurant and the parsley that we were getting were huge, and they were like chopping celery.
So would you consider this small?
This is perfect, honestly.
Nice.
And you can just smell the vibrancy from the parsley, just really bright flavor coming into it. And parsley is known to have this bitterness to it, but what's nice is that the lemon and the oil and the tomatoes just really break it down. And with the salt, it just perfectly blends everything together, and it's so refreshing.
Yeah. And then when we would eat it growing up, you always had the freshly squeezed lemon juice on the side.
Yeah.
And the salt, of course, because you can never, Arab people can always add more salt.
That is true. That is true. We never get enough of salt.
Yeah. So Roberto and I met pretty recently, like a month ago, because Ramadan ended a month ago, like the week of April 9th, April 10th.
Yeah.
So, and I saw that this new spot that's opened up in Chinatown called Bleach, which is not a restaurant and not a bar, and so it's not really defined, but it's a place people can go gather. There's music, they have DJ equipment. They just recently added turntables there, so people are playing vinyl. But I saw that you were collaborating with them to make a Eid dinner, and Eid is like the celebration at the end of Ramadan, which is 30 days of fasting in Islam, considered the holy month of Ramadan. So, can you tell us about? Can you describe what Bleach is?
Yeah, Bleach is a little venue that brings in artists from around the city and over the border. And it's a little cute, intimate venue where it kind of fills out the trifecta, which is people, music, and the place. And Danny, who's the curator of Bleach, has done a really good job at bringing all these elements together. And I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to meet up with him and just share this experience with him. I did a little show with Nicole, who's part of the Weirdos group. She's a DJ.
To the Weirdos group.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Will, Nicole, everybody.
And I had a little back-to-back session with her, which was lovely. We shared some tunes together, and right the week after, I prepared like a set menu for the Eid that Jamal was talking about.
Yeah.
Which was to stay in solidarity with what's going on that side of the world, and just to really tune in and spread the love and share just our fortunes with them, because they're going through a very rough time and they need all the support that they can get. And this kind of was in representation of that, which is like a little watermelon.
Yes, I love it.
We kind of had like a set menu for the day. It was like a tabbouleh, hummus, and a labneh as starters. And for the mains, we had two options. We had a palau, which Michelle, who's one of the chefs there, prepared, and I prepared msa'a, which is an eggplant with tomato and pepper stew and chickpeas, which was served with rice on the side. And for dessert, I made my version of a rice pudding with coconut, and it turned out really delicious.
I can confirm.
And it was successful. I was really happy to see smiles on people's faces, and just to come and enjoy this moment with me, because it was truly a wonderful experience to have that moment shared. Yeah.
It was incredible to be there, and just like, the fact that there was that type of collaboration to support the people in Palestine, and to also celebrate Eid, which is such a huge celebration at the end, like 3 days of just feasting.
Definitely.
For everybody who fasted. And just to see like, the local community come together to support that as well was really nice. When you were growing up, you said you grew up with your mom. What kind of food and dishes was your mom making?
Just quick, easy, simple. We didn't grow up plant-based. I was eating my chicken. She would make like just roasted chicken drumsticks with lemon and garlic, salt and pepper, and just mix them all and just shove them in the oven, and with some potatoes and grilled peppers, and a lot of vegetables were introduced into my diet, which kind of also made it easy going plant-based. It was just, and she would make like the best tiramisu, which I crave from time to time. Every birthday that I would have, she would have like a huge casserole of tiramisu, which I'm still craving, which is like pushing me to make a plant-based alternative.
Did you cook with your mom?
No,
up?
I was just an observer. I was just watching. I was in my little bubble. And my mom would make, she's part Belarusian and half Lebanese. The Lebanese part is from her dad's side. She would make borscht, which is a beetroot soup with cabbage and carrots, and she would add chicken with some smetana, which is sour cream. That was revolving around my childhood and what she would prepare throughout the week. Yeah, and she was into pasta. We'd have bolognese, and I had a lot of Italian food growing up, which also is why I traveled to Italy so many times, because I just love that place. It's just tomatoes, like they're just so good.
They taste different.
They do.
They taste completely different.
They do.
So, how finely do you need to be chopping the tomatoes for tabbouleh?
You just need to dice them, just small enough to, like about this thick, and you want them in cubes.
Yeah, like a half an inch.
Yeah.
So when you were saying that you discovered your passion just a year ago, but before that you said that that you've been like the transition to plant-based.
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen, and what led you to changing your diet and your lifestyle?
It's a funny story. I was with my partner at the time. We lived together, and I was on the dining table just making some music, and she had her friend over who she was showing this vegan activist. She was originally vegetarian, and he was talking to a classroom about animal cruelty. And me being nosy, I just glanced at what they were doing, and I felt like a little calling within myself saying like, this is not right. Like there was another bubble that popped.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's something wrong. Me being empathetic and putting myself in other people's shoes, I felt naturally drawn to put myself in their hoofs. And I felt like I couldn't do it anymore. So I called my mom. I told her, hey, listen, I'm going vegetarian. And she was really confused and anxious about what to cook and worried about like how is it sustainable? Is it like healthy? And I told her like, we're gonna figure it out. And then I looked back and I hung up the phone. I looked back and I was like, I don't like a lot of cheeses. I don't like milk. Eggs don't even appeal to me. I would only eat egg whites. And I called her back again. And I was like, I'm going vegan. And she lost her mind.
Especially with mothers, mothers have they want to care for their kids, nourish them, nurture them, make sure they're like healthy, eating well. But especially in like the Arab culture, a lot of that comes from feeding them too.
Definitely.
Right? Like, are you eating enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
or
sure
like
we hear about that from our grandmas all the time.
Always
right?
commenting on our appearance in relation to like our diet. Like, you gained weight.
Or you're like you're too skinny.
Yeah.
Are you eating enough?
Yeah, exactly. So that totally makes sense that would be her reaction based on that.
Definitely.
Yeah, so many generations of that being like the main source of care and love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's funny, two months later, she becomes plant-based, which was insane.
And it was like, how did that happen for her? Just based from your decision and influence?
I just shared with her information, and she felt drawn to discovering it more and more, and she went out herself and watched like documentaries because she had my brother on the way and she wanted to look into it for me and for herself because something also resonated with her. And she just wanted to learn, and she gave birth to my brother, who she started like feeding him plant-based foods, and he was okay. And then my sister came right along 4 years later, and she was vegan born because my mom's has been plant-based for a while, and they still are, and they're healthy. I don't know how they get all this energy. Like at 9 p.m. when they're supposed to be sleeping, they're running around the house and jumping on the table. Like,
yeah.
It's 9 a.m., which is insane. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking, did you say 9 a.m. or 9 p.m.?
9 a.m.
Oh,
like,
okay.
It's
okay,
like
okay.
9 a.m. Like,
Yeah,
they just woke up.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they just don't want to go to bed.
No.
Too. That was
like a lot
that's
of
their motivation.
energy.
At that age, you never want to go to bed when you're told to.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
No. Did you and your mother cook together vegan and plant-based food once you started your journey? Like, did you introduce some of your learnings to her?
We kind of like just shared
with
each other. At the start, I'm a very practical cook. I like to find whatever's in my fridge and just cook with whatever I have. It just makes things easier. As long as I have my carbs, proteins, and veggies, I'm good to go. And it's opened so much for me, especially with her. She loves learning, so she would go and find courses. She got into like a raw dessert course and raw savory foods course as well, and she joined a Ruby course. So she was taking it really, really seriously. And I was still kind of discovering it in my own way. She got a lot of a head start because she had her kids to take care of, while I just felt like I needed to just take care of myself. I was an unhealthy vegan for some time in Lebanon, especially. I would just eat fried potatoes and ketchup, and I would still incorporate like these foods in, but I think I was like, at the time I was really lazy. And I just felt like something needed to change. There was like more to it than this, and I just wanted to just play with some fresh flavors and really show that plant-based foods is just not about fried potatoes and ketchup.
It's so much more.
Exactly, yeah.
But I mean, fried potatoes are part of the Lebanese diet, no doubt.
They are.
The garlic potatoes too, like chili garlic potatoes. So okay, let's hop back to the tabbouleh. So you had...
We chopped the parsley, we chopped the tomatoes, we got the spring onions and the mint for the
Did you only use
freshness.
the tops of the green
Yeah,
onion?
you could also use the bottoms, but I think this is just enough for the salad. You don't want it too oniony.
Yeah.
So that they can all balance each other out.
And the flavor at the top is less intense than as you get
exactly.
closer
to the
roots. And then, okay, the mint, you rolled it up.
I rolled it up so that I can get like little thin strips.
Yeah.
Kind of blends well with the parsley as well. Like you can see they're just like finely chopped and they look like strings.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of this like idea of like smacking the mint? Before?
So that's like, that's great for bartending, but in the kitchen it's not really necessary because you're already eating it.
Yeah. You're doing that with your teeth.
Exactly. 100%, you're breaking it down. So when you're a bartender, you need to smack it so you can bring out that flavor and you can smell the aroma of the mint.
So now you're in Lebanon and you're living a vegan lifestyle, vegan diet. You said you were an unhealthy vegan. How did you transition to becoming and living more of a healthy vegan lifestyle, and how were you able to do that in Lebanon?
I wasn't feeling very good.
Yeah.
Like I felt malnutritioned, lethargic and tired, and I think this is the biggest misconception that a lot of people get when getting into a plant-based lifestyle is that feeling. And I didn't want to feel this way anymore, so it pushed me to get into the nutrition side of it and how to really combine flavors and whole foods to make a nutritious meal.
And all those elements that you were talking about, like the carbs, proteins, did you start learning more about that and those different elements of nutrition when you became vegan and plant-based? Or did you have... Because like my diet is very just omnivore, and like I don't have that awareness of what is necessarily making up each of my meals, you know, as someone who eats the food. So was that part of your gaining knowledge and learning about veganism or plant-based diet? Or did you know about that before? And how is that like giving you more awareness about what you're cooking? So
yeah, I just had to figure it out, right? As I went through. Could you repeat the question?
It's all good. No, I was just wondering, like, because so my sister just recently did like a nutrition program, and now she's like, you know, mentioning all these different groups and how to incorporate them into each meal. So just was asking about like, how did you learn about all those different components?
I just dug into it,
Yeah.
online research. Everything's available to us. I think we're living in a great time right now where just knowledge is being shot through this portal and spread around the world, right? So accessible.
The internet.
The internet.
The internet.
Right?
So, okay, while that looks incredibly juicy
It does.
while you were mixing it. So all of those, you added the lemon juice, salt. Did you add olive oil as well?
I did add olive oil. And
now
the quinoa, which is the component which is replacing the bulgur wheat. The bulgur wheat is the traditional grain that we use in the tabbouleh, but this is like the gluten-free option that we're gonna add in.
Yeah, and you cooked it ahead of time and let it cool down.
Cool down, yeah.
And why did you do that?
It's so that the heat doesn't wilt the parsley, so it stays fresh and crunchy. Because it's gonna discolor and it's gonna give not such a pleasant taste.
Yes.
Especially with the mint. Mint turns bitter when it's wilted.
And heated?
Yeah.
Okay. That is looking so good. And it smells so fresh as well.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can smell the lemon juice, you can smell the olive oil, the parsley.
Here, grab a spoon, try some.
All right. Let's give it a try. As Sheldon Knight says, I wish we had smell-o-vision so that everyone out there could smell what we're smelling.
That would be an interesting invention. I think it needs a bit more
Salt?
salt.
Lemon?
And lemon. You got it. What would I do without you, Jamal?
The essential ingredients.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And how did you I wanted to ask you like how like we're in Vancouver. We're in Vancity. What's your connection to here? And how long have you been here?
So in total, I've been here for 2 years. So when I went to Lebanon, my family went to Canada. They decided to close their life and just move. And 2 years during my stay, I felt like I wanted to visit them, and they presented that opportunity. So I came during COVID. I wasn't really exposed to a lot of people because everyone was stuck at home, living their quarantine life. And I didn't really have much to discover because I spent most of my time at home. I would go out for walks on Arbutus Greenway because we lived by West 57th and Granville. And I met a few people along the way.
Along the Greenway?
Along the Greenway, a lot of hellos. People are so friendly here. Like, if they like your energy, you know, and you give them a look, they'll say hello, which is really nice. You wouldn't really find it in Lebanon unless like you're connected to them in some way through mutual friends. So it was a really interesting experience coming here and experiencing this friendliness in the city. And I reconnected with family, and it was short-lived. I stayed here for 6 months, and then I moved back to Lebanon. I stayed in Lebanon for 1.5 years, and then I came back here, and I think this is the longest I've been, which has been 1.5 years, and I've gotten to know so many people towards this journey, especially the past 2 months. I got to know Jamal and a lot of people in the music industry. And
The music community
The
here,
music,
yes. Yeah. Have you gone to some good parties?
I have, especially at B-side.
Yeah. And all the, like, one thing I love about the music community here is that there are so many people who are initiating events and organizing their own events. So we're really fortunate because we have plenty of options every week to go to events. It's amazing to see, like, how motivated people are to organize and bring people together for enjoying music, and so I'm happy that that happened for you in your journey, that you came across and met all these people, the Weirdos crew, as we mentioned earlier. You got some time to boogie.
Yeah,
you dancing.
We got some eclectic energy vibes, just down tempo, some good feel music.
Yeah.
Something that I've been looking for a very long time in Vancouver, and it just happened so quickly because it's just a funny story, because I was at the gym this one day, and this just interesting guy was doing a bench press.
Yeah.
And I just asked him if we could share a bench, and we just started talking about music. We exchanged names. He goes by DF Cuke.
Yep.
Max Riches.
Yes, shout out Max.
He was the portal to all of these wonderful moments and events. And I'm like very grateful for this person, because if I did not meet him, I wouldn't have met any of you.
Yeah. Just at the gym, yo.
Right?
Flexing.
Getting that pump in.
And so you've been here for a couple years. You're kind of indicated like the end of your time here. What's next for you?
Well, I'm moving back to Lebanon to properly start my journey in creating opportunity for people to get started on this journey, because I wish I had someone that guided me on the forefront of it, on what to eat, how to eat, and just how to prepare, because it is challenging, because you're given so many options, and like there's so much like to know, health wise, food pairings, what works with what, substitutions. We all have intolerances as well, and how to maneuver around these intolerances. I think like that's what I want to share with people, just to really fully fledge your kitchen to fit that lifestyle, because that's what we struggle with, right?
Yeah, even just like knowing what to cook at home, for example, or even like having variety of meals to cook for yourself. Those are really important to like living healthy, especially when you're living on your own and adulting, feeding yourself. So you did mention that you like discovered your passion a year or so ago. What was that moment of knowing that this is where you want to put your energy?
Well, I was working in a Lebanese kitchen, and I realized like I would be chopping and preparing food for 12 hours a day, sometimes 8, and it felt effortless. I felt like I could do this. I could do this for long periods of time without getting tired. Like if I feel this way now, I feel like I could do this for the rest of my life, especially when it feels effortless, easy, right? And I think we should work on our strengths and just keep doing it.
Yeah, lean into them.
100%. Yeah.
Flex those muscles, yo. That repetition too.
Yeah.
So, and that was, then you made that decision to just go all in with this?
It was like It's like a light bulb happened overnight.
Yeah. And how's that year been for you since?
It's been interesting, like, because this only happened like around 6 months ago, right? It was like towards the end of last year. So I called my mom. I was like, I found my purpose.
Yes, I love how the moments,
my mom's
the
my
big
best
moments
friend.
that's who you call.
Definitely.
First person to call. Let them know.
And it's so bizarre because I've been doing it for so long, and it's like the universe kept giving me these opportunities to see what I was meant to do, and I would just ignore them. And think throughout, everything happens for a reason. So just, I think I feel ready to continue on this path, knowing what I need to do.
It is really interesting how, as you mentioned, that there were so many signs. You said like they were in front of you, but you didn't necessarily grasp them.
I wasn't listening.
Or yeah, and it's interesting how the timing and life experience also contributes to that. Like to actually have that awareness to recognize the signs that are being shared and put in front of you. But we can be blind for so long before actually gaining that knowledge and awareness.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's awesome to hear that is where you're at right now, and this is what you're fully pursuing. And so, how are you feeling that now that you're about to leave and go back to Lebanon?
It's gonna be interesting because I'll be surrounded to countries that I would like to visit. I feel like I'm closer to the more ethnic side of the world. There's a lot of spices that I want to learn about, and different flavors and foods that I also would like to
the
share.
Spices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just learn about
spices.
Learn from the aunts and the grandmas that are
The
sharing
tetas.
the tetas.
Yeah.
From all over Asia and Italy, like Europe, and just really touch base with that. Because we all share the same thing, which is food, right? And I want to be able to share this way of living with different cultures around the world. I think I think it's good for us to have that opportunity presented to us, to have this option.
So
sorry,
go ahead.
There's so many creators that are doing this.
Yeah.
But just more of a educational, hands-on experience from a culinary school and coming from a guidance.
Yeah. Also that, like for many of us here in North America and in Canada, our food isn't necessarily coming from nearby.
Right.
Sometimes we don't even know where our food is coming from. And so that affects how our health, our lifestyles, what we're actually putting into our bodies. So what do we have? What do we got?
We got these oyster mushrooms that were marinated and pan-fried.
That the seasoning of the spices and then the blend, and when you cook them, the aroma, it immediately smells like shawarma. it's incredible. Yeah.
Do you want to try some?
Yeah.
What does that taste like, Jamal?
Tastes like shawarma. And I like the pulled apart mushrooms too.
Kind of gives it that meaty texture.
Yes.
Right?
100%. It's so good. That is on point. Nice.
So we're gonna serve that with some pita bread. Kind of make it into a little quesadilla. I'm gonna put 2 flatbreads on top of each other with the mushrooms, some tahini, parsley, and pickled onions. Woo! With a side of tabbouleh.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I'm just mixing up the tahini right now with some water, lemon juice, and salt. Just really simple. You don't need anything more than this. You could add to it, you can add different spices if you'd like. But if you're going for an authentic flavor, these 3 ingredients are all you need.
Have you noticed that sometimes, like with tahini, let's say if you're mixing in like lemon with it or lemon juice first with it, that the texture kind of changes, but then you have to like keep mixing it to regain that smoothness?
Yeah. So the trick is water. The more water you add, the thinner it'll be, and the less you do, then it'll be thicker. And I think this is like, we could use a bit more water. It'll give it a more lighter look to it. That is done.
Did you want to try the mushrooms as well?
I'm trusting your palate.
Well,
let's see. Oh, man down.
what do you think?
Oh, that's really good.
It is.
Yeah, the spices takes me back home.
Where you'll be soon.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited to reconnect with family. It's been a while, so I feel like I'll be seeing Lebanon in a new way. Even if I'm from there or I've lived there, I feel like if you're not in a place for a very long time, a lot can change. And I'm just looking at it from a new perspective with a direction. And that's what's exciting about this coming journey that I get to experience.
Can you tell us more about exactly like what your plans are when you move there? And this, because you've kind of alluded to like, you know, you're setting up something. Can you describe more what you're going to be doing there?
So I'm gonna start by working at a little tea shop called Hashishet Adbe, which is the weeds of my heart.
Yeah.
They've got a huge organic selection of teas. And they're primarily vegan with a few vegetarian options. So I think that would be a great base for me to experiment and explore more into what I'm doing. And in parallel to that, I'll be creating content and sharing what I'm putting together and everything that I've learned throughout these years and as I'm learning. Yeah, I'm really excited for that journey and hopefully be able to open up my online culinary school one day to share this knowledge in a more compact one place.
Yes.
Knowledge.
And what are you going to be teaching people exactly?
So I'll be getting into the basics, so how to prepare your nut milks. I think that's very, very important. Getting in touch with your ingredients, what staples you need, types of spices, nuts, grains, legumes, beans. Those are like primary foods and staples that you need in your kitchen, and then I'll help you how to process them.
Yeah.
How to make oat flour, how to make your sourdough starter, for example.
Yeah.
Like baking is one of my strong suits. I love baking, the science of it. So there'll be also a dessert course added on to the school. And just how to ferment, how to preserve food, how to properly clean your vegetables, how to keep them in the fridge or out for long periods of time so that we reduce food waste, how to take care of your scraps and what you can use them for, just the ins and outs of living a sustainable life, because this is what it's all about. It's living sustainably.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of sustainability has definitely been becoming more prominent in many areas of life, but for ourselves, like individually on a health and diet basis, that's so important just like, you know, for our own health and longevity, but how we feel. Like you said earlier, how like you just weren't feeling great, and now you have been able to make those changes in your diet and lifestyle to actually like feel that really good energy, feel the healthy way that, you know, that you want to be in your day-to-day life. Yeah, that's really, I mean, it's incredible to get to that point and now to be able to like offer that to other people as well. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And that's also why I'm really excited to like that you joined us today, because this second season of the show, like we've been incorporating this cooking element into it, which has been so much fun. We've cooked so many fun dishes with our guests, and Kazi's been doing some more like plant-based meals recently. And so to have you here to not only show us a plant-based dish, but also one that is rooted in your family lineage and ancestry, which we both share as well. So I just love all of that coming together. And like, so I'm really happy that you're here and that you've shown us all this today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. When you are in Lebanon, and you mentioned earlier, like how they have like a scarcity of resources that we just have convenient access to. Like no one here flinches about electricity. People come home, turn the lights on, everything works. People have water, clean drinking water. They don't really need to worry about any of these like essential components of that have like built the life that we live here. I just wanted to ask you about like those conditions in Lebanon, and how have they evolved and changed since you first moved there from Dubai? Because I know like based on the timeline, like there's a lot of major events that have happened while you were living there.
Right.
There was the financial crisis where the Lebanese lira just completely crashed, and people's like value of their money was completely
non-existent.
Yeah, exactly. Like the percentage of that was crazy. And then the port explosion in Beirut that happened as well, also major shock. And then the pandemic. So like how do you think like that people in Lebanon have been able to live through all of these situations?
It's been tough for a lot of people. A lot of poverty has happened throughout the years, and it's still going through a very rough time. I think I know Lebanese people are very resilient, and no matter what we go through, because we've been through a lot, we're still pulling through and living our lives like it's our last, because in a country that's full of chaos, we really don't know what's going to happen. And I'm just really grateful that we're still pulling through, and we have that, you know, no matter how bad it is, as long as we're sharing a meal, sharing each other's company. That's what matters to the Lebanese people more than anything. Yeah.
It's so true. My mom's side of the family lives there, and that's a conversation that I had with my mom as well, just about how like because of the circumstances that they live in, that their perspective and way of living is completely different.
Right.
Like as you mentioned, living as if today could literally be your last, and that appreciation of those simple moments is more potent, can be more potent.
Definitely.
In that situation, which is such an interesting like observation, that even under such like dire conditions, people are still able to find like joy and happiness and positivity, but and share that with the people close to them and their loved ones.
It's pretty great, right?
It's incredible.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it.
So, okay, we were talking while you prepared that plate. So, I think we should probably do another one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that, definitely.
But this looks incredible.
Thank you.
So, can you walk us through another one?
Yeah, definitely. So we're just gonna rip open this bread.
This is your classic pita.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, in Vancity, you have to know where to go to get the fresh
Produce.
ingredients,
Definitely.
especially like ingredients from different areas of the world. So I want to shout out Persia Foods because they have such a good selection, and if you know which day to go, you'll get the freshest pita, you'll get the fresh herbs.
And when is that?
Well, Monday?
Monday.
Today.
Today's the day.
Today is the day. They had stock of fresh Italian parsley. The pita was soft. It had definitely probably come in today or yesterday. Sometimes you go places and the pita bread is just so
Dry.
rigid. Yeah.
It's really, like, pita's really lucrative. I think with any bread, if you leave it out for a long period of time, they're gonna go stale and you're gonna be eating cardboard. And
Yes, pretty
I don't think
quick.
anyone would want to eat cardboard.
Except like with fattoush salad when you actually toast the pita.
Yeah,
And then
definitely.
throw it on top.
That's the crunch.
That's different though. Yeah. That's crunch.
You need the crunch in the fattoush.
Okay, let's show this beautiful pocket, this happy pocket to the peoples.
I'm just drizzling some tahini inside just to give it that creaminess.
So I noticed with the first one, you completely took it apart.
Yeah, I kind of went a bit wrong with that. It's going to be
Yeah.
pretty difficult to handle.
Yeah.
So I just kind of gave it a little opening so when I cut it, it would be pretty easy to. And when you grab a bite, it won't fall apart.
Mm-hmm. So we're adding some more tahini.
Mm-hmm. Gotta make
Just
it
keeping it in like
saucy.
that pocket.
Yeah.
And then these pickled for how long?
It's like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Just boil your vinegar and water, add some sugar, some salt, and let it sit in a mason jar and they'll be ready. The heat kind of opens up the onions so that they can let all that vinegar taste go in. Have one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like I can taste a lot of the sourness from the vinegar, the apple cider vinegar, but then the onion flavor is way more like dimmed. It's still there, but it's not as strong as if you were to have them raw. So that is so good, and the fact that it just like that you can do that so quickly.
It's a quick
and
pickle method.
A quick pickle, and then how long could you leave that for?
Leave that as long as you want.
It'll just
put it in the fridge, seal it, and whenever you feel like having some pickles, just pop it out. Yeah.
Yeah. This is incredible. We got the plant-based version of a shawarma with the oyster mushrooms and the shawarma seasoning. And then, but you kind of mentioned at the beginning, you're kind of like, the way you're cutting it, you're like referring to a quesadilla a little bit, which is super fun and easy to eat and easy to share.
Exactly. And that's what our culture is all about, is just sharing food with each other.
Sharing meals, sharing time like with family. Sharing the love.
Sharing the love. That's why I love cooking, because it brings people together and just having that opportunity to just laugh and enjoy and taste really good, flavorful food. And just incorporating music with that.
Yeah.
I have I would love to one day, well, I had the opportunity to do it in Bleach, but
Yeah.
also continue it further down the line is just having music and food and people in a wonderful venue, just sharing this whole experience. Because without the other, what's the experience?
It's that shared component that just enriches it, I think, and that's something that I felt recently because I did decide to fast during Ramadan, and like a lot of the time I was eating at the end of the day on my own, and that throughout that process, like I started just like seeking out more opportunities to share that meal with people, and it felt really like, yeah, it kind of helped me appreciate that aspect of sharing meals with people. And yeah, I know we've talked a lot about food and your food and cooking journey, and thank you for reminding me about the music side too, because you also DJ, and you even earlier when you said that how you saw that video, the activism video, you were making music too. So can you tell us about what that creative expression is for you, and where you're at with it?
Well, I'm just doing it for myself and for friends.
Yeah.
It just makes it a bit hard for me to do it professionally because I found my purpose and this is something that I'm committing to.
Yeah.
And
the eyebrow raise.
Yeah.
Committing
okay.
to.
And yeah, I just share my tracks with my friends. If there's an opportunity for me to play at a venue, I'm not gonna say no. I love music. I always have, and yeah, it's just different flavors and different tastes and different tunes.
Just like cooking,
right? Exactly.
Are there any parallels between cooking and like making music, DJing that you've made?
What do you mean by that?
Like things that are related.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like instruments are your ingredients. Your mixer is your cutting board. You know, and just being able to have fun with it, like bringing in different samples, bringing in different spices, and it's just I relate to them so much, and I think this is why I love those two mediums.
I think you're on the right track, especially with these combos.
I hope so.
And even with, I mean, a lot of people say like when they're making music that they're cooking up too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard that a lot.
And today, we're so lucky to have had you here to cook this up, and I'm super ready to try
Me
this.
too.
Yes.
Let's dig in.
Okay. Okay, spoon, and then we'll just use our hands.
When you eat with your hands, you like connect to the food more.
Yeah. Yeah.
It tastes a lot more appetizing when I dig into it.
Yeah. صحتين.
عقبك.
There it is. That's balanced in the flavors. So juicy too. From the juice of the tomatoes, the lemon juice, and the olive oil. I feel like I have parsley all up in my teeth.
Yeah,
but
gotta do a little bathroom check once we're done.
I'm still finding it in the molars and different teeth. Wow. What do you think?
I love it. I love it.
All right, let's try this.
Feels like I'm back in Lebanon.
Oof, check that out. The tahini, the pickled onion. You can't even tell that these are oyster mushrooms, you know?
It's like shredded
and the
chicken.
color of the spices, like, on the pita.
It's really saucy. Kind of reminds me of The sandwich. The sandwich restaurants that we'd have on the side of the street. You just put so much sauce into their sandwiches and you would just bite in and your face would be covered in garlic or like hot mayo.
That it's the sauce is what makes it for those sandwiches.
Juicy. Gotta keep it juicy.
Wow, that is really good. I'm excited to continue eating this.
Me too.
After the stream. Thank you so much for being here, Roberto.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
It has been.
I'm really grateful for the timing of this because Roberto's leaving in a few days to move back to Lebanon. I'm gonna come visit.
I'm waiting for you.
I have family there. Now I have friends there.
I need to cook you a meal there as well.
Yo, absolutely. And maybe we'll start spreading that plant-based lifestyle to my fam. We'll see.
Oh, hell yeah.
In Lebanon. But I know they like their meat for sure. And I wish you the best too.
Thank you so much.
On this next chapter of your journey. Definitely let us know where people can find you. And
Definitely.
Do you have a website for...
Not yet.
Okay.
It will be up soon. Maybe in like a few months.
Yeah.
But you can start following me at Roberto.Issa on my Instagram page just to start with. And then I will be creating a dedicated platform for the resources that I'll be sharing.
And those resources will be all about how to prep and have your kitchen ready for a plant-based lifestyle and plant-based cooking. Also, like different ideas for recipes, but like all those components you mentioned, like the nut milks, the fermentation, that is those are really cool skills to learn.
Definitely,
Yeah.
they are.
So
I think it's essential to know in every kitchen.
yeah, it's the basics
Yeah.
that we don't even learn about here unless we have like good friends like you. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. My name is Jamal. This has been Vancity Beats, Eats, and more.